said last night at Trick that you really didn't miss him.
I wish I could replay that 10,000 times. Actually, give it to me one more time. And another time. Yeah. Karma feels good. It feels good. Hello everyone, it is Kristen, also known as Coco on the internet, and welcome to the Quirky Girl Trope, my utopia where I get to talk about all things pop culture and media that I am hyper-focused on in the moment. Today I am talking about One Tree Hill.
I'm representing a little bit.
One Tree Hill is like a time capsule that I have locked in the way of a very dark place in my brain because I believe I started watching it when I was 13, and that was around when season 6 was premiering because I remember it was the adult years. Maybe it was the Chad Michael Murray of it all, maybe it was the Sophia Bush of it all. I was obsessed with Brooke Davis because I knew she was a fashion designer from watching season 6, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm watching anything that has to do with the fashion designer because, you know, fashion was my passion. I don't know how I got obsessed with this show at some time in my life. I know I spent 2 seasons maybe with it, so maybe season 6, season 7, and a little bit of season 8. But here I am now, an adult with a fully developed frontal lobe, and I have been revisiting things that I enjoyed in my childhood as an adult. I've even had semi-viral Twitter moments about it. So with the Drama Queens podcast being all up and down my For You page, and the possible talks of a reboot of One Tree Hill, which, oh gosh, we do not need that. Please. I already have to deal with it being a Buffy reboot and everything else I enjoyed as a youth coming back instead of new things being made. So please, no, we don't need it. So I've taken 2 months of my life to start my journey rewatching One Tree Hill from the beginning, all 9 seasons, 187 episodes, 66 I've already watched so far. Imagine how foggy my brain is. 2 months, 66 episodes. So let's talk about me rewatching One Tree Hill as an adult. One Tree Hill premiered September 2003 on the long gone but never forgotten WB network, which eventually merged with the UPN network, another long gone but not forgotten network, and they soon merged to be the CW network, which One Tree Hill landed on around its 3rd season. The series is based in a fictional town called Tree Hill in the Carolinas, but of course the actual series is called One Tree Hill because, as Crash Out Karen liked to say,
there is only one Tree Hill, and it's your home. I love you, my boy.
All 9 seasons have an array of different characters, side characters, main characters, special guests that don't make sense. It's just full of interesting 2000 things. Getting through the seasons of One Tree Hill, you really get to see the show is a vault for the subculture of that time, especially when you get to season 3. The base and premise of the show can really be described as the Shania Twain edition of Battle of the Bastards. But instead of fighting for their name and their land, they're actually fighting for the right to be white men who can jump. We have Dan Scott, who meets Karen in high school. They become high school sweethearts, and eventually she ends up pregnant. Dan is the star athlete of the Tree Hill Ravens. He has taken them on to the championships. He's won the championships. He is the star athlete, and he has plans to continue that in college. So when Karen pops up pregnant, he immediately tells her, you need to get rid of that baby or you ain't gonna have no daddy because I'm going to college. And that's exactly what he did. And Karen said, well, I'm gonna have my baby. Thus enters the chat Kieth Scott, son of Dan and Karen. Just 3 months later, we have Dan getting another woman pregnant, this time in college, and her name is Deb, the sassy, sultry blonde who also comes from money. 3 months later, 3 long months later, Dan ends up getting Deb pregnant, and he actually ends up getting a knee injury that prevents him to continue on with his basketball dreams. So they move back to Tree Hill. Another one enters the chat. We have Nathan Scott, the son of Dan and Deb. Basically, Dan had hood twins. This show is a mess. Dan, his new wife, and the baby he chose to be around moved back to Tree Hill, and everyone knows this secret. Everyone knows that Dan got a baby up the street and he really don't care. Allegedly, I guess I have to say allegedly. Lucas is the child that should never be named when it concerns the Scotts. And so the series takes place decades later when the boys are much older, well into their teens, and living completely different lives. Dan raises Nate, and his older brother Kieth helps Karen raise Lucas, which, by the way, Kieth and Dan, they really don't make it subtle that this is supposed to be like a Abel Cain situation. Kieth is the good mess of a guy and Dan is the evil demon. We start everything with Nathan being a literal clone of his father, just as nasty, just as rude, and wanting to live his basketball dreams. I don't really know for him, but really for his dad, who immediately we meet is on his ass about basketball and coaching from the sidelines, even though he's not the coach. Basically, Dan has been living his dreams through his son because of his knee injury stopping all of his dreams. You will see why I'm doing hand quotes later on. Lucas is the complete opposite of Nathan. He's actually more on the loner side. He has a solid group of friends, including his brainiac friend, Hayley. Karen lives a more subtle life than Dan and Deb. She owns a cafe, but they don't have the most money. And Kieth has been helping out as much as he can, despite him running a not so thriving mechanic shop. Did I mention Lucas is really good at basketball too? Of course he is. Kieth doesn't want Lucas to end up like him, where he's okay with floating in the background and seeming like the screw up of the family when compared to Dan. He in fact wants him to really step out there and show he has just as much as a right to being known in this town as Nathan does, and he doesn't have to really hold himself back because he's Dan Scott's kid and everybody knows it, but Dan doesn't want people to know it because he only wants Nathan to be the star in the town. So Kieth reaches out to Whitey, who is the coach of the Tree Hill Ravens. That's Papa. I love me some Whitey. And he sees Kieth is not lying. Lucas can actually play ball. And so he gets an offer to join the Tree Hill Ravens. But the only holdup is that his half brother is on the same team, which means he's more likely to be around his estranged dad, Dan. Honestly, he was right to be hesitant, because when I tell you every other episode in season 1 is Dan and Nathan continuously reminding him that he's a bastard and wasn't wanted. Obviously, this pisses Dan off badly because he hates Lucas. I have to do the hand quotes because of what happens in the season. So the first season is really about this tussle between this family and all of their mess, and addressing abandonment and so many other topics that have to do with these teens, because trust, they are getting in mess. It's also obviously just about the dynamic between Lucas and Nathan, and if they will become what Kieth and Dan did. Will they decide to add that struggle to their life, or will they break the family curse that seems to plague all of their family? Did I mention it's girl drama too? Lucas is in a very interesting love triangle with Brooke and Peyton. Brooke is the chair captain of the Tree Hill Raven squad, and she is very much on Lucas's body as soon as she sees him, spots him on the team, which is the opposite of Peyton, who is at the beginning of the series dating Nathan, Lucas's half brother, but she is very much a black cat. I'm in the corner doing art. I really don't want to be a cheerleader. It sucks. Being a cheerleader sucks, but I'm still gonna be a cheerleader. Don't get me started. She's definitely the more brooding type, and Lucas is immediately very drawn to her and wants to know more about her. She's this mystery that he wants to crack, no matter if she's with his half brother or not. Nathan, on the other hand, is falling for Hayley, who is the best friend to Lucas. She's very much the brainiac stereotype. She's very by the book. He hires her just to become his tutor so he can piss off Lucas. For the first half of the season, Nathan. For some reason, Nathan is straight hazing Lucas like it's his fault that he was born. But it becomes more than him trying to troll Lucas, and he actually falls for Hayley, and they go through a real journey as a couple. Imagine how tired I am. This is just a summary of what the show basically starts off as. Imagine how tired I am. I feel like One Tree Hill is a character-based show. I don't think it really sticks to many plots. It definitely gets ridiculous, but I think the main majority of the seasons have shown me that they really care about the development of the character. So I'm going to do this by character, give you my thoughts on them, and basically my thoughts on their journey throughout the first 3 seasons of One Tree Hill. I think it's best to start with the person who started all of this drama in the first place, Dan Scott.
Mayor of Tree Hill, North Carolina, Dan Scott.
Also, surprisingly, is the most consistent character out of the whole entire group. He never really changes in these first 3 seasons. Even the many times he almost died, multiple seasons, he still is a sociopath. He still is a nasty, evil person, and that has not changed. Dan starts off as a very much abusive father.
What are you doing, Dad? Still looking for your name in the box scores?
Hey, knock it off and get serious. You got a big game coming up. And you think you're gonna break my scoring record?
And that does not change throughout these 3 seasons. In fact, we meet him barking at Nathan at a basketball game. Throughout these 3 seasons, they have tried to make attempts of making it seem as if Dan is not that bad, that he has something about him that isn't so nasty and corrupt. But I'm telling you now, even those things doesn't make him less of a nasty person, doesn't make him less than a literal demon sent from hell. We find out things where they're trying to lessen the harshness of Dan, like him actually trying to be there for Lucas and be in Lucas's life, and Karen basically telling him no. You also have the moment where we find out he kept pictures of Lucas in his desk, and so he really did care about him. He really did want to know him, despite spending all of season 1 berating him as if he was anything else but his son. Another attempt is when they tell us that Deb basically cheated on him and ran away and left her son there at home with his abusive father, which is really bad on Deb's part. But did we forget Nathan saying that it was the worst summer of all, and he really rode him hard that summer? So it was still abusive. Nothing will make Dan Scott look any less than what he is to me. So I really didn't care about those attempts. I didn't care that he tried to be in Lucas's life because at first he said no. I didn't care that he kept pictures of Lucas in his drawer because guess what? He still taunted that little boy, and he still continues to taunt him to the point where he is okay with him dying and not paying for his heart medicine. Imagine. Don't even get me started with the abuse in his own house, his abuse to his wife, his abuse to his son, really to Deb. I'm gonna be honest, really to his wife. Like just plain emotional abuse, and transforms into physical abuse as well. Oh, and there's also the whole aspect of his parents and his dad being abusive and just emotionally terrible to him as well when he was in basketball. And so it's like, wouldn't you think to be better to your son instead of being what your father was to you?
Well, Nathan, what are you averaging these days? You know, your dad had 27 and a half a game. You beat that yet?
Well, we just...
I'm asking the boy a question, May.
Well, maybe you should ask the old man.
Maybe go get some therapy, and not just when you kill your brother. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but yeah, in season 3, Dan, in fact, does kill Kieth. Season 3 is the pure psychotic break of Dan Scott. We get 3 seasons worth of content of us literally seeing why someone would have probable cause of killing Dan Scott, because he's a tyrant on the whole entire town. And he get mad because one little person tried to set a little fire. Like, Tee up. It's a part of the game. You want to be bad. They tried to show you bad and now you mad. Dan Scott is a rage baiter. He is someone who manipulates you to make it seem as if you have done the most wrong to him, even though he did so many steps to get you to that point. And then he turns around and acts like the victim, like he's the one on some grand mission to find who has wronged him when you've done everything for everyone in the town to wrong you. This show tries to kill Dan off many times, which makes it ironic that he was the one to actually kill someone on the show. Season 1, he had a heart attack. Season 2, it was a full fire. And in season 3, he's the one with the bra-da-da-da. He's the one who shoots his brother. Did I also mention another attempt to make him seem less of the sociopath that he is, and for us to, I guess, give him a crumb of sympathy, is Kieth, his very well-liked brother, screwing his wife Deb through a drunken night together. Did I also mention that Kieth had a bit of a love thing affair with his baby mother, Karen, as well? So Dan already doesn't like his brother. Then you add on the fact that he was screwing his wife, or at least had a drunken night with his wife. And on top of that, he's the father that his alleged abandoned son looks to as a father. And then you also add on the fact that Kieth and Karen had a little thing, and it just adds on and piles on. And I guess Dan is allowed to be this weird psychopathic man.
You listen to me, you son of a bitch. Those are the last words you're ever going to speak to me. You are no longer my brother. You understand that? You do not exist to me.
And I'm not dense. I understand that trauma turns you into a person that you really would never be if it never happened to you. Hence his parents being terrible to him, mostly his dad. Also, all of the things that people have done to him, but it just doesn't equal his results. It doesn't equal his actions, and you should be a healed person instead of being a worse person. Keith, I realize me saying all of that, Keith is, we're gonna get to Keith. Keith is, yeah, we have to talk about some of his antics as well. Season 3, we really get to see Dan in full beast mode. He has somehow, some way won a candidacy to be mayor. And by somehow, I mean he cheated his way there by blackmailing Karen, blackmailing Kieth, and basically doing the worst things imaginable so that he can have more control over the Tree Hill Ravens, a basketball team he played in high school. Season 2, we get to see Dan after a heart attack, and he is very much plotting, as all plotters do. He is in the midst of a divorce with Deb, and also just turmoil with him and Nathan, and it all results in him being so stressed out, especially after finding Kieth and Deb together in bed. He's away at the beach house because they have been separated, and Deb walks in and finds Dan basically having a heart attack. She has every right to leave him there, especially with all of the nasty things he has been doing to her son, but instead she helps him get up and calls the police, even though she had a fault in doing so. She almost nearly left him there, and he realized that and calculated that in his head.
You know, I came here to apologize, to tell you I was sorry, even though you've basically been the assiest ass on the planet for the better part of our married lives.
What are you doing?
I'm considering, Dan.
Please. Help me.
He wakes up and the doctor basically says he has this new way of life, this new condition where he basically doesn't take things too seriously and he's being nicer, and it's usually a result with people who have a heart attack. But he was lying the whole entire time. I don't know what Kieth or Deb was thinking when that man was obviously going to clap back as hard as he could, and clap back he did. He somehow swindles his way into getting Lucas back into his vicinity. I can't fully blame him for this because Lucas was also plotting, thanks to him knowing that he had to get some dirt on Dan because Dan was just causing so much nastiness in Tree Hill. But Dan did use his manipulating ways and used the fact that Lucas was hiding his heart condition from Karen, a rare heart condition where he can't play basketball or he literally could die. He held over Lucas's head that he could pay for his heart medication, which was super expensive and something that Karen could not afford. And then as soon as he found out Lucas had a gripe with him, he basically took the heart medication away and told him to die, while also trying to convince Nathan to live with him as well, to have his 2 boys together. He literally was the reason that they hated each other in season 1. He straight up just abandons Nathan because he's moved out on his own and got married, which we're gonna talk about. He sets up a plant of a girlfriend who oddly is Marissa Menounos. The guest stars on this show actually gag me most of the times. Every time somebody pop up, I am just like, what is happening? So Dan adds a plant of a girlfriend and basically tells her, hey, I need you to pretend to like my brother. I'll pay you whatever and just act like you're in love with him. Get to the point where he wants to marry you and then leave him at the altar and break his heart. All of this because he slept with his wife, which is bad. I can't condone that, Keith, but it's just like, blackmailing, like, you're no better. You're actually even more insane to have this be your plot. Because not only did he set up the girlfriend, but he also made it seem like, oh yeah, Keith, we're brothers now again. Guess what? I want you to be a part of my business after I already stole your business because you couldn't afford to keep it. And I took that over too. Like, it's just like, he's just nasty. At the end of season 2, Dan has just burned too many bridges and someone tries to burn him, literally. All of season 3 is him trying to figure out who is the mystery person who tried to set not only him, but his business on fire. And his automatic thought is Keith because of what happened with the whole wedding, plant girlfriend thing. And he literally doesn't know he has 10,000 enemies. He has 10,000 ops. It could be anybody. He literally nearly assaulted and got in beef with Karen's Australian boyfriend. I don't know. It was her professor. You see how ridiculous this show is. Season 1 of One Tree Hill is absolutely perfect, at least halfway through the season. The pilot episode alone is chef's kiss when it comes to this genre. I feel like when it comes to these genre of shows in today's age, they don't really have a brand. They don't really have an identity. But when you watch that pilot episode of One Tree Hill, it gives they knew what they wanted to do from the start. I mean, from the opening being just Lucas bouncing the basketball. Then we don't really see his face, but we see him hooded and bouncing the basketball. The music is good. The identity of it all. The Tree Hill Ravens feels real. Like, it feels like a really good small town. It's cozy, but at the same time, it's drama filled. They're getting into like, the first season is really good, but after that, it's still good, but we're getting into soap opera, telenovela. How is this possible? Because how is it possible that Dan nearly got burnt to a crisp and he got saved? And the person who saved him is Lucas. I have nothing more to say other than Dan is a literal demon. I have no other way to describe him. To shoot your brother in cold blood because you suspect that he tried to kill you with fire. And then, mind you, first, before that, he thought it was Lucas. And so he's like plotting on Lucas, who's living at his house at the time. And he's like plotting on his freaking son. But then Lucas tells him that he's not the one who tried to kill him. He actually saved him. And instead of being grateful, he weirdly assaults Peyton and Lucas and tells them like he better not say anything to anybody, and also like taunts him over the fact that he could die from his heart. And then he automatically moves on to Keith because he has some weird video footage of Keith buying liquor that night. But it turns out it ain't even Keith, but he's so like, no, he's trying to get me back. I have to figure out who's doing this. Like, he just don't have every reason for anybody in this town. Hell, Whitey could have did it. The coach could have did it as much as you played in his face. Like, you have multiple ops, sir. But obviously, he's a dumbass. And it turns out Keith isn't the one who tried to kill him. But that doesn't matter because during a school shooter episode, we see Dan kill Keith in cold blood. And because he is, in fact, the son of Satan, he blames it on the school shooter who self-deleted himself. Killed his brother in cold blood. I was done with him after he killed Keith, but I was also completely done with him after he put his hands on Deb, like physically assaulted her. Dan is a terrible person and there is just no way around it. He's weird also with the teen girls in this show. He's weird with Peyton being around the house, being like naked with Nathan, like referencing their sex lives. He's weird around Hayley as well. He's just an odd individual. I think he is the worst parts of what a Scott boy could become, and that is why Nathan fighting against it at all odds makes me so proud of him. That is why Lucas touching that dark spot of himself and realizing he was and going back towards the light is the best thing ever. It's because they are not supposed to be what Dan Scott is. Dan Scott is what happens when trauma latches onto the darkest parts of yourselves, and he just becomes worse and worse. From season 1 to season 3, he has no growth. He becomes worse and worse. Dan is literally the devil of the show, and that's why he makes a good villain. He makes a good villain because he knows exactly what he is. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what to say. He knows exactly what to do. He has no limits, and that's why he's not only a good villain, but that's why he is the example for the Scott boys to break this family curse of things just becoming very toxic and just nasty. Dan Scott is a chop. I wish he would have burned in that building. Let's talk about Kieth Scott.
Good to see you, man.
You too, Bruce.
I didn't know you had a son that played ball, too.
Well, actually, I'm just a stand-in. One of the boys doesn't have a father.
Keith. I don't really know what to say about Keith. Do I want to call Keith a loser? No, I don't. But I will say he has loser tendencies. Obviously, like I said, they are supposed to be giving, him and Dan are supposed to be giving Cain and Abel, light and dark. And it makes sense, but also Keith is just a mess. Keith is a mess. Keith is a mess from the start. There's only a brief moment before I feel like Keith really has it together, and that is before his death. Keith is suffering from alcoholism, and he is trying his best to not let the idea and the thought of him being a disappointment to everyone around him swallow him whole. But the thing is, he fails every single time. Season 2, Keith creeps me out. I'm not gonna lie. The whole, fake girlfriend plot, him being a car salesman in front of, I just think Keith is naive. I think Keith is naive. I think he wants people to love him so bad. He wants his family to love him so bad. He lives for Lucas loving him. He lives for Karen loving him. And I hate to admit it, he lived for Dan loving him, because there is no way you thought that man forgot that you slept with his wife. There's no way he forgot that this evil spawn that he grew up with, that has done the most evil things, abandoning his son, taunting his son, being a bully to his son, also being a bully to you, literally taking you out of business, even though he said he was going to help your business. Like, he is the worst person of all time, and you thought he was just going to let it go. Keith. Aww. In season 1, when we meet Keith, he is clearly the black sheep stereotype. He doesn't really talk to his family. He doesn't talk to Dan at all. He has stepped up to be there for Karen and Lucas, who have also been shunned by his family. Don't get my joking confused. Keith is a stand-up man. That is a man, okay? He has stepped up for the responsibilities that his brother could not handle.
You have a gift, Luke. It's a crime not to let people see it, to hide it in the park.
He is a great big brother, despite what Dan thinks. He is a great father to Lucas. And I love that even in his last moments, we had to acknowledge just how much of a good father he has been to Lucas, even though that isn't his child. He is the person who stepped up when Karen needed him. And that's something that Dan will never get my tens for. He knew from the jump that his brother was a loser and a psychopath, and he protected everybody from that as much as he could.
I do want this, don't you?
Yeah, I do, but it's...
But what? Why should we have to give it up? I mean, he was never a father to you. He leaves your mom when she's pregnant. He rides Nathan until he cracks under the strain. Whitey, Deb, every single life that he touches is worse because of it.
And I wish he would have saw how much that makes him a stand-up person, and it didn't matter the small flaws that he had. He was dealing with a disease, like, I wish he would have seen that he was just a good person. It didn't matter what other people thought. It didn't matter what he thought of himself. I wish he could have saw the fruits of his labor before it went to a really dark place. I remember watching Keith's whole like plot season 2. I knew Keith wasn't right when that pompadour got higher and higher. I knew Keith was going through something when that pompadour, I don't know what was going on with his hair, but baby, when it got higher, you knew it was about to go down. I think Keith was just a really good person at his core, but he was just dealt a really shitty hand. When I say he's like a loser, I'm saying because he just never goes out and gets things. Like, one thing about Dan Scott, you could say a lot of things, but if he wants you gone, if he wants you to suffer, if he wants anything he wants, this man became mayor out of nowhere with no background, with no like record of goodness. He has become mayor of Tree Hill. Shot your ass and got away with it. He goes after what he wants. So when you see Keith being a little whimpery, like, I love Karen, but I don't want to push too hard, and like, it's just like he self-destructs when it comes to getting anything of his own. So I remember feeling so happy after seeing the episode where him and Karen go to the charity dinner event and Dan and Deb are there, and he finally kind of stands up to Deb. He makes himself look like a fool, but he goes home and him and Karen have a little moment. And I remember squealing because I'm like, yeah, Keith, yeah, go and get you some, Keith. Honestly, I only think season 2 happens where he thinks he's gonna fall in love with this girl and get married. Mind you, they only known each other for like 2 months, a month, and he wants to get married to her. I really feel like that only happened because Karen was moving on. In a way, I really have to hold season 1 Keith really close to me. That is for real my Shayla. I feel as if in season 1 he was truly himself. Even with him being deep into his disease, I do feel as if that was authentic Keith, and I honestly loved the way he was in season 1. That's why season 1 is my favorite so far. I love the way that Keith not only stepped up, but he stood up for himself. Yes, he had really bad moments, aka the car accident with Lucas, but I think that's also when everything went downhill. After that car accident and him feeling as if he was the reason why him and Lucas got into that car accident, and having Karen kind of be mad at him, it really just made him into this other person, this other character, where he didn't know who the hell he was in season 2, and he definitely wasn't that relevant in season 3 until his demise. So yeah, I really hold season 1 Keith into my heart because I feel that is Keith in his full form minus the alcoholism. I do think it was always Karen for Keith, but I just think he gives up easily as well, because there's also no way that he gave up his business to Dan. Season 1, we have a car accident happen on account of Keith because he was drinking, but he wasn't drinking that much. In fact, the hospital or the police or someone said his alcoholism didn't really have a result in the accident happening. But he takes on that guilt. Karen also blames him. Lucas is really messed up, and I forgot to bring this up in my Dan is not that bad chip throwaway, which is he saves Keith and Lucas from the car accident. You see where I say at some point this becomes ridiculous? Because he's like, help, somebody. And he's pulling them out the car and he takes them in his car. Like, he has the strength, nobody else helping him, taking them in his car to the hospital and signing off for Lucas to get the surgery to save his life. So Karen is like, oh, thank you so much. Just throwing him bones for no reason. It's not changing anything. After the car accident and him feeling so bad that he possibly could have hurt Lucas, and he felt like he wasn't paying attention and he had drinks that night, he shouldn't have had drinks, he goes and pays for the surgery and everything Lucas's needs, but he cannot afford it. He just doesn't want Karen to be mad at him. Also, he feels guilt that he hurt his nephew, or he feels like he hurt his nephew. And so he goes and pays, and instead of being like, you know what, I'm going to confront all of this, he instead suffers. And Karen is like, I'm going to pay you back. He's like, don't pay me back. It's my fault. Even though I feel like Karen, which I'm going to talk about, she does a lot. Like, I get it, but okay, girl. Keith eventually allows Dan to convince him to give him Keith's mechanic shop. And of course, he's not a man of his word. So instead of just letting his brother have some help, have some money, he lets him know and nothing is free. And he puts his branding all over Kieth's repair shop. He literally taunts him so bad that Kieth just gives up the repair shop until he has to come back and work under Dan again because of the whole heart attack thing. And then that's when the fake girlfriend comes and all of that. And it's just like, Kieth, why you believe this man? I think Kieth's existence in the show is him battling with who he is at his core, battling with, do people really love me or am I loved at all? It's really him battling with himself until he gives himself permission to not do that anymore. And I feel like we see that glow up in season 3 when he goes away. Nobody's heard from him. He kind of takes time to get himself together. And then he comes back home and he gets Karen again. He wants to adopt Lucas and make Lucas his actual kid. And everything is going good until he gets killed. I'm sad about Kieth getting killed, I'm not gonna lie, because he was a good person. I think he was a character who I wanted to see harm happen to. I've never felt bad about anything Kieth did. Is he wrong in some instances, like him sleeping with Deb? Sure, but it's like, I don't care. I don't care about them hurting Dan. I truly don't. Like, yeah, I wish he would have popped her a few more times. But I really did feel bad. Even in the whole process of Kieth passing away in season 3, he's coming in to save his nephew. He's coming in to help the school out and stop the school shooter because he knows the kid and he knows that he's a good kid. In season 3, you really get to see what the difference is between Kieth and Dan, which is that Kieth is someone who notices his mistakes and tries to become a better person from that, but also tries to give lessons out to the kids to show them, hey, I haven't had the best track record, but guess what? I'm still trying to grow as a person. Whereas Dan is just a facade. Dan makes it seem like he has everything together, he has everything perfect, but really he's just a little sad little boy inside, and he has not gotten better, and he doesn't want to get better as long as he gets to scheme his way through life. Overall, I don't feel like I have too many strong feelings about Kieth. Same thing with the people I'm about to talk about next, but I do think that he was someone who Lucas needed. He was someone that Karen needed. Really enjoyed them together. I enjoyed him and Karen together the most. I think even though Karen has dated throughout the last couple of seasons, I think her and Kieth had the best chemistry.
Traveled halfway around the world and figured out that everything I ever wanted was here all along. You know?
Yeah, I do.
And I feel so bad for Lucas losing his Uncle Kieth. I do. In a lot of ways, I feel Kieth is the only one who truly understood Lucas and treated him like a person with thoughts, whereas Karen, in my opinion, treats him very still like that little boy that she raised, and Kieth saw him as a whole person where other people don't. So I feel bad that Lucas lost that part of himself, and that's why I think he looks so lost in season 3. R.I.P. Kieth. You was a real one. Now we're moving on to the moms of it all, and that is Deb and Karen.
Uh-oh.
It's probably best for me to talk about them back to back because they are sort of like a duo partner in this series. I will say I am surprised to see their origin because I remember Deb and Karen being sort of like these deities in One Tree Hill when I started watching in season 6 and 7. They would pop up every now and then. If there's a wedding, they're there, or maybe they'll pop in. And then I think Deb came back permanently. And so I never really got to see their origin. I just know them as the older, wise people coming in and out. So to see their origin and to know who they are, I have questions. Not that I don't like them, but I have questions. Let's get into the one I don't really care about at all. I mean, I care about her, but it's like, girl, okay, it's Crash Out Karen.
What the hell are you doing with Lucas?
So he told you.
Only that he's moving in with you, not the real reason why.
He wants to get to know his father.
That's crap, and we both know it. You're manipulating him somehow.
No, I'm letting him make a choice. He's a big boy, Karen. Maybe he needs something more than just his mommy.
Don't you dare walk away from me. We are nowhere near finished. What's going on?
It's just a little party to celebrate Keith's engagement. Champagne?
Crash Out Karen is, I call her Crash Out Karen because, baby, she lets things bottle up, bottle up, bottle up, bottle up until she's ready to explode.
Think about me. Just once. Think about me. And what my life would be like if I lost you. Running into burning buildings, high schools with guns. Did I raise an idiot?
I know, okay? I know. It's my fault. If I didn't go back in there, Keith would still be here. And I know that. So...
Well, sorry isn't gonna bring him back, is it?
And when she explodes, she don't be making no sense. She crashes out and she looks like a fool. She starts dating her professor. She goes back to college. She starts dating a professor and she's like mad that he gave her an A. Like, she has so low self-esteem that she doesn't think that she really got an A. And so she like curses him out, doesn't even know any of his story, doesn't even know what he has going on. And it's like, Karen, I will say, Karen must have a good coup de guy. Can't even lie, because one thing about it, Karen ain't gonna chase behind no man, and the man gonna chase her. Karen is not gonna run after no man, but the man gonna run after her. She had Keith in very much the fetal position. She had that Australian professor man about to commit crimes. Baby, that boom boom is to die for. She even sometimes has Dan crashing out like, okay, big Karen, not the little one, big mama. But seriously, I really don't have much to say about Karen. I think her arc in season 1 through 3 is very straight to the point. I think she's a very strict mother. I think she allows Lucas enough rope to do what he needs to do, but she holds him accountable as a child. I really liked how she handled his whole heart situation, yelling at him to grow up and go and get the test. I think my biggest takeaway from Karen after watching her in these first 3 seasons is I see why she comes in the later years the way she does. She is very caring. She is the mother of the house. She is so thoughtful. She's also very giving. The way she makes sure when kids come to her and they need help, she actually helps them and she doesn't really judge them that much. One of my favorite Karen moments is when she gives Jake a job, knowing that he is a struggling single father. She sees herself in him and she doesn't really make it a big deal, but she makes it comfortable for him to earn a wage. And that only happened because of the things that she went through and the things that she learned. And she has such a big heart for kids who go through things that they didn't ask to be a part of. And I think she sees that in Lucas. She sees that in the other kids around her. That's why she really latched on to Brooke, even though we're going to talk about the slut shaming of Brooke when it came to Karen. But otherwise than that, I think Karen is a very giving person and she tries to see the good in everybody. Actually, I'll take that back. She does judge them hard. She does. But, you know, she still makes the attempt. I like the way she's helping Hayley out when it comes to her managing being married. That's 16, 17. Like the way she listens to people when it comes to business ideas. She's never too ego driven, and I really like that about her character. Like I said, she's a crash out though. Karen acts on emotion down. She acts on emotion. Sometimes you can't blame her, then other times it's giving insufferable. Like, I can't lie, sometimes Karen gave me insufferable. I love how her arc is literally just her trying to get more businesses and just going to school. I don't think her plots really matter to me that much. That's why I say I don't feel bad about Karen. I don't feel sad about Karen. I don't feel anything when it comes to Karen. I think she's a great mom. I think she's a great friend. Sometimes she's a good friend. We'll get to season 4 eventually. Yeah, like, she's a businesswoman and she handles her business. You know, she's a mom. She does her one too, and that's it. I will say one of my favorite Karen moments is her crashing out on Dan after she finds out how bad he's been to not only Lucas but her then boyfriend. Love that moment from Karen. Was smashing the window a little bit much, sister? Yes, but it's crash out Karen. What do you expect? Also, when Karen gets a man, the way she completely just doesn't care what Lucas is doing. Can we acknowledge that? After 3 seasons, I've realized once Karen get her eyes on a man, baby, Lucas can run up and down the street. It don't matter what he is doing. But you know, she is a young hot mother. What can I do? What can we do? Now, let's talk about Deb.
Safer streets, better schools, neighborhood watch programs, a new and improved mass transit system, parents as role models.
I'm so sorry, Dan. I didn't know we had company. Can you see my ass through this?
Deb, honey, it's a little early to be drinking, don't you think?
Oh, come on. It's noon somewhere, right? Cheers.
Deb, number one, we have to talk about season 3 Deb. Deb is a baddie. Deb is a baddie. Shot o'clock. I don't even watch that show, but she is a baddie. Deb is the embodiment of the Mean Girls mom. She also has black cat energy. Like, I can't explain it. I love Deb. I actually have more interest in Deb than I do with Karen. I think Deb is such a interesting personality. She's a terrible mom. Let's just put that out there. She is a terrible mom. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts, maybe. She is a terrible mom. But the outfits. The makeup on Deb in season 3, to die for. But no, seriously, if I just stop looking at her appearance, Deb is a terrible mom. I think she tried to be the best wife that she can be. It doesn't really matter because she was never going to tame that beast of a husband. Deb is just interesting. She's definitely a hot girl. She's definitely a hot mom. But I fear there's nothing up there. Like, at first I thought there was something up there because she's a businesswoman and she do be handling her business. But when it comes to personal relationships, when it comes to social things, she ain't got nothing up there. Deb often is the comic relief, to be honest. I wonder why they make the sultry girls the comic relief, because I feel like Deb falls under the same category as Brooke, and she gives us a lot of comedic relief, which I can't complain with. Cannot believe, you know, your husband is abusive. You know that he's nasty. You know that he is a terrible, terrible person because you're married to him. Instead of getting you and your son out at the moment, you cheat on him and you leave your son there to go leave with this man. That's when I knew Dad wasn't worth shit. You know what? She just ain't giving mother. She's not giving mother at all. At the same time, I feel for Deb because she is, in fact, married to Dan Scott. The abuse she has suffered, the emotional, physical, the manipulation she's experienced, it's so sad to see. And oftentimes, I feel like, yes, Deb is expressive with how she feels, but no one really knows the extent to what Dan does to her on a daily.
On that floor in the beach house, I went to the chapel and I prayed for you to die. That's the kind of horrible, pathetic shell of a person I've become. But no more. I'm walking out that door, Dan, because if I don't, one of us is going to die soon.
And I think it's so easy for people to judge her and just not think of her down to her son, even though she should be the one thinking of her son, but that's just me. Nobody is there for her. Nobody's understanding how terrible this man really is and how she is suffering and clawing to get out. But instead, all they see is her like slurring and popping pills, which Karen is a pillhead child. She's a pillhead. Lucas caught her doing pills at some point and she had to go to rehab. Deb was the one who tried to kill Dan. Deb wrote that letter, gave him that bottle of liquor with that little opie up in there, and baby, she was ready to take him out. She was ready. Ski mask on, ski mask up. I gotta respect a real one. Like, she was ready to kill that man so her and her son could be free, but it didn't happen and he ended up surviving. She ends up getting judged about trying to kill him when I think she's completely justified in killing Dan. It makes me sad that I feel like Deb is gonna be guilt-ridden when she finds out Dan killed Kieth. Because in reality, if Deb would have said that she was the one who did it, Kieth would still be alive. So I feel bad that she's gonna get the guilt for that because Dan should die. There, I said it. Dan should have been out of here. Yeah, the moms of the show, I feel like their plot is surrounding other people's plot. And Deb has a little bit more leniency because Nathan is not in the house and it's a lot going on with her and Dan. So her storyline has a little bit more juiciness to it. I cannot reiterate enough how much of a bad mom Deb is, how terrible of a father Dan is. The fact that Nathan wanted to get emancipated immediately because he could not take it anymore. Them going back and forth, the fighting, the witnessing of abuse. It literally is too much for a teen to take on. And because he takes control of so much stuff, they think that he's not a teen for some reason, even though that's their kid. I thought Deb was going to go a completely different route, especially with how she comes in season 1. Season 1, she is very determined on getting her kid back and getting Dan out the way and being very headstrong in their household. But in the end, she just fails and becomes a mess. And that's because Dan broke her down. We also have to acknowledge how much boy mom energy Deb gives because it is so evident with the way that she treats Hayley. Yes, Hayley and Nathan getting married in season 1 or at the end of season 1 is a completely crazy thing. I think when Deb is mad at Hayley's parents and she basically is giving them the stink eye at the party, she's absolutely justified. I'm going to talk about it later, but Hayley and Nathan should not be married at 16, 17. Like, that is insane. But she treats that girl weird, just like Dan treats the teens weird. She treats Hayley like she took her man, and that's your son. I just do not like the way that she comes at Hayley, even when it comes to after Nathan forgave her. I mean, I see her point of not liking Hayley, but the way she goes about it, it's like, girl, you are throwing rocks in a glass house. It does not make sense. This is a teen girl. The way Karen treats the teens, you would think or hope that Deb treats them, but she has no sympathy because has she really been through anything as a teen the way that Karen has? No, she got the man, she got the ring. You got the ring, girl. But we all see where that led. I just wish her heart wasn't so stone ice cold. I wish it wasn't stone cold, okay? I wish she had a little bit more empathy for kids, including her own son. But again, she's also going through her own stuff. It just doesn't excuse you being a terrible mom and a terrible adult when it's teens involved. I do kind of wish that they wrote Deb a little bit more seriously. Even in the later seasons, I remember she was kind of unserious. I enjoy her being the hot mom comedy relief, but there was moments where I feel like she just shouldn't have took Dan's bullshit, especially when it came to him running for mayor. Them doing a whole back and forth prank session. I get it was supposed to be light and funny, but I would not play with that man. I am not playing with him. I actually would ruin his shit. Not come into the room full of bored men in my lingerie to make him feel embarrassed. Like, I don't know. It was giving, she could have been a little bit more forceful with Dan, especially like her killing him or trying to kill him. Exactly, queen. The other stuff, I don't know about that. But again, her fighting to get out of this relationship because she's in an abusive one is a reason why I have grace for Deb, because she deserves grace. But she also, she's just an odd individual. I really feel it's nothing going on in that blonde, beautiful head. Looking back on it, it might have been intentional because season 1 Deb is so much more mature and so much more intellectual than I feel season 2 and season 3 Deb are. But also she was on pills and she was going through addiction, so maybe that played a factor in it. I just feel she was taken way less serious in season 2 and season 3 when she had plots that should have been taken way more serious. Summarizing, Deb is a terrible mom. I feel bad for her being a victim. Otherwise than that, she killed. Let's talk about Hayley. Hayley James Scott.
Had a lot of practice.
It's siphoning gas. What'd you think of it? You want to do it? Watch out for the golf ball. Oh, are you kidding? Dude, who knew you were like the 4th Charlie's Angel?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a thing we have to talk about with One Tree Hill, at least the first 3 seasons. It is so propaganda filled. You see them going to church a lot. You see them praying a lot. Hayley is very much by the book. Okay, so she did not want to have sex without being married, and Nathan does that for her, even though they say it's just for the commitment. Like, they're so committed to each other, they're each other's family. They're 16, 17 years old. I don't know how that's possible. Also, Hayley's parents are dumbasses. Deb did have every right to chew out Hayley's parents, because what do you mean you're letting 17-year-olds get married because they're telling you they're each other's soulmate? It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. But my rant doesn't mean that I don't like Hayley. I love Hayley. In fact, I love Hayley the most in the adult years, but seeing her origin, I see what Hayley is supposed to be. There's a reason I start off Hayley's portion and talking about her marriage, because that's literally what her plot line is up until season 2. It's Nathan. Her plot line is Nathan and trying to justify being with Nathan despite him being an asshole to Lucas. And eventually, when all of the things between Lucas and Nathan are worked out, she just makes Nathan her life. I really enjoyed the first couple of episodes we get of Hayley, where she's very smart, she's very determined, and all of that goes out the window when a boy is around. But she's also 17. I can't fault her for that, but also I wish she just had a little bit more of herself in season 1 going into season 2. But then we see her grab a little bit of herself and we end up with season 2 Hayley. I also had to mention the religious part, because you see it play throughout her whole entire character until she wants to go and live that, musical life. And she judges Brooke so hard. She judges anyone who's very liberated so hard. The scene of her being upset about Nathan basically having, nasty stuff on his laptop shows what type of character Hayley is meant to be, and how she shows that in things that she does and things that she says. Her slut shaming of Brooke, her justification for what she does, though, because she's grabbing her freedom. It's just very evident who Hayley was supposed to be. She is meant to be the nurturer, the guider, just like Karen, but she's a little bit more spicier than Karen, in my opinion. She knows what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and everybody knows that, so that's why they always go to her for advice. And I just think that Hayley sort of loses herself in season 2, which we're going to talk about, but I also think that her season 1 arc is very reductive in who she was when it started, and that's okay, because I get to have Nathan and Hayley. I love Nathan and Hayley's relationship. I think Nathan and Hayley are a perfect example on what I want an enemies to lovers to give. I enjoyed seeing them blossom and becoming each other's person, because I do think that I look at those two characters and they appear to be each other's person. They respect each other. Not in season 2, but they respect each other enough to want the other to be happy, no matter what they have to go through to get that happiness, which I don't know, is kind of toxic. We do have to drag Hayley. I fear it. I fear I have to drag Hayley. After season 1, we kind of see her falling for Nathan. She has to deal with the fact that she's dating this very popular star athlete, and she's used to being in the background. And so we get to see Hayley come out of her shell a lot, sometimes a little bit too much. Okay, Hayley, calm down. You just got here. She has to adjust to now being with this person who is always the center of attention when she's used to not being the center of attention. With this means she gets to discover other parts of herself. Other parts that aren't just her being a tutor girl. And sadly, that part is music.
The doctor said you weren't supposed to talk. He didn't say I couldn't say.
The songs are terrible. Just terrible. I get it. Singing, okay. They were really pitching it to the point where it's like, Hayley has the potential to be the next Alanis Morissette. And I'm just like... So we go from her not knowing how to deal with Nathan and having her first real serious boyfriend, helping him with his family drama, helping Lucas with his family drama. And the one thing she starts to realize she likes and enjoys is music. And so she really starts to focus on that a little bit when Nathan gives her the confidence to go down that path. And it means we have to deal with divorce. worst plot of season 2. The Chris Keller of it all. Okay, first of all, I just want to point out Hayley, in this purity of hers, all of that is abandoned in season 2. In fact, it cracks me up because in season 1, she was so appalled that Nathan had some nasty videos on his computer. And yet she out there freaking and digging it out in New York. It's just insane to me, the spin that Hayley takes in season 2. It's so insane to me. Deb and Karen start this business together, in all ages nightclub. Another girl, be for real. But anyway, you can go there, listen to music, chill. If you're a teen, you can get some soda. If you're an adult, you can get a drink, and you vibe out to music. And of course, the music is picked by brooding, artsy Peyton, and they just so happen to have a open mic night or something like that. And Hayley is invited to play a song and play her guitar and sing. She's actually encouraged by Nathan to do this, and everyone is like, wow, Hayley, you really got it. You got a voice. You got a song. Yes. And the person who also sees her and also performs terribly is Chris Keller. Chris Keller is, I don't know, he's just stinky. I can't describe him as anything else but stinky and weird. Very stinky, very weird. He's not funny. He's not cute. I just also find it very disrespectful that Hayley has Nathan Scott at home, and Chris Keller being able to strum a guitar is what got her to stray from home. Nathan Scott is at home holding you up on a pedestal. You're letting Chris Keller ruin your marriage? LOL. Hayley jumps more into music during season 2, so much that Chris Keller is all about her now, and she really has a song, even though he's so weird. I know he's written to be that way, but it's a little bit much. It's a little bit like you're sniffing something when I leave the room. I'm scared every time he come on the screen. I can't lie. I'm so happy his plot is done. I'm so happy. So after begging Nathan to get married, she didn't beg him, but they did this whole thing of her getting married and them becoming a union and living together and being a couple and all of that. She says, you know what? Not only am I going to kiss Chris Keller when he tries to kiss me and say, oh, but he kissed me, but he's gonna ask me to run away on tour with him, and I'm gonna leave without telling my husband, without telling my man, who, mind you, encouraged my music. And so I'm gonna leave town, skip town, and I'll see what happens later. But I'm also feeling this man, even though I'm saying I have no feelings for him. Hayley, be for real. And if I squint my eyes, I can kind of see where Hayley is coming from. She grew up in an environment where she was not really the focus. Her sister was doing whatever she wanted and her parents allowed it, but she was a little bit more tamed and seen as the responsible one, so she felt all this pressure. And were her parents really there? Because when it came around to seeing them, it seems they were doing their own thing. So I feel like she grew up in an environment where she didn't get to choose herself. So when she finally got that encouragement from somebody who truly loved her and supported her, now she could only think about, okay, well, what do I want? This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do now. But she did it in such a disrespectful way. So I don't really feel bad for her when Nathan was on her ass when she tried to crawl back. But I do understand that for once she felt she was choosing herself and not thinking about anybody else but herself. And it felt good. It felt like what she needed. But you cannot do that when you take on the responsibility of not just having a boyfriend, but having a husband, which is why you shouldn't get married when you're 16, 17. This is when it gets soap opera for me. I don't know. Is there anybody who was like older in the 2000s? Because can you tell me, was it this easy to just get up and go on tour?
Oh my God, Hayley James? We just saw you play last night. Could we get an autograph?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know. Then again, we are watching a TV show, so it can be as unrealistic as it has to be. I will say, even though Hayley was dead ass wrong for what she did with Chris Keller and her leaving, and then Nathan comes to visit her and he realizes just how weird things are with her and Chris. Don't you know you got a husband, her ring off? Like, it's just real nasty things going on when it comes to Nate and Hayley in season 2. But I do feel for her a little bit in season 3, because you can say a lot of things about Miss Hayley James Scott, but you cannot say she did not fight for her man. She literally came back and redeemed herself. That's why I have smoke for her when it comes to the whole Chris Keller situation. But I can't complain. Like, I like characters who do something about things, even if it's evil things. Like, even if you want to go from good to evil, it's fine. But I need to see how we doing this, like how we building these bricks. And I love Hayley having a little moment, but then finding herself again and then coming back and getting her man. There were also moments where I didn't justify what Hayley did, but I could see why she was in crash out mode or just focus on herself mode, because the whole thing with her sister and Nate, I did not like that at all. That was where Nathan was clicking down to me. I did not like the fact that he had a whole thing with her sister. It was just really cute. I love their whole arc. I love them as a couple. Little bit too preachy for me when it comes to them, I'm not gonna lie. Do I think they should have gotten married so young? Absolutely not. Do I think them being shacked up in an apartment and they could barely pay their electric bill is smart? No, I don't. Do I think they're both crash out sometimes? Yes, I do. Specifically. Well, no, Nathan doesn't really crash out like that anymore after his redemption, but I just feel like they are teenagers and they're married. And they shouldn't be teenagers and married, but that's just me. Oh, wait a minute. Hayley, come to the front. Come to the front. You thought I forgot. I do have to drag her a little bit. When it comes to Brooke Davis, Brooke is not the most always right character, but this is where the preachy thing comes on. Actually, I think Hayley and Karen, not even just because what happens with Hayley and Nathan, but I think Hayley and Karen are a reflection of each other, and that's why they like each other so much. Hayley is so judgy and so insufferable sometimes, and one of the moments where I was really not feeling her is the whole Brooke, Peyton, Lucas situation. Because if you go back and look, Brooke is the reason why Hayley and Nate are even together in the first place. They literally were going to be broken up because of Brooke's shenanigans. Yes, she was the reason they were going to be broken up, but she put them back together and gave them a really good date, and that date resulted in them actually being together again. I find it insane that when Lucas and Peyton are flirting with this idea of them being together, she's like laughing at, there's a lot of slut shaming towards Brooke Davis in the first season, and I know this is the 2000s. I know it's the 2000s, but it's just like catching me off guard every time. I know Brooke Davis is the liberated bad bitch, and she does a lot of things that would make people think that she gets around. I mean, she does, you know, she's liberated, but I do think some of the comments made towards her, almost how they laugh at her sometimes because she's not this cookie cutter image, when there's people getting married at 16, there's other people, there's other teens doing coke, there's so many other things that they're doing that are out of frame, and because Brooke Davis like a little D, they almost judge her more than the shenanigans they get up to, which I think is so weird. The way that Hayley laughs in Brooke's face, I think we can blame Brooke just as much as we can blame Hayley when it comes to them almost hazing each other, because Brooke was so tutor girl, kind of being annoying towards Hayley being the bookworm girl. But also Hayley was very much slut shaming Brooke, even after she got to know Brooke's character a little bit. Like, Brooke is the only reason you and your man are together because of the date thing that she did to redeem herself. So why are you acting like you don't know she's kind of a better person than you thought she was? And every time when she thought of Lucas and Brooke, she laughed. I mean, she had a reason to, because we see Lucas took Brooke as a joke, but I still feel it was a little bit shady the way she used to handle Brooke. Which season 3, Hayley kind of got a taste of that when she came back to have Nathan again, and Peyton was on her ass, which we're going to talk about how Peyton had no right to treat Hayley the way she did in season 3, but she did get a taste of her own medicine because of the way that she used to treat Brooke. It's just catching me off guard that Hayley finds Lucas and Peyton kissing in the library, and her first thing is like, well, I didn't expect him and Brooke to last that long. Like, it's Brooke Davis. I don't really expect, which I get they weren't that close, so she doesn't know Brooke like that, but damn, girl, could you be a girl's girl? Now, I'm not going to do too much because she was pressing both Peyton and Lucas, telling them that it was wrong. If they didn't tell anybody anything, she was going to tell it, but I really don't know if it was her trying to hold Lucas accountable and being there for Brooke, or it was her being more superior with her morals and trying to tell him like, hey, this is just wrong. Wrong is wrong and right is right. But then we see her do what she do in season 2 and it's like, Hayley, what was going on? You know, it's all over the place. Just did not like her reaction to Brooke getting cheated on, especially because I felt like the whole group was getting a little bit closer. And it's just like, for you to be on some, well, it makes sense, but like y'all need to tell her type tip. I did not like that. But you know, it's always a little slut shaming, judginess going on when it comes to Hayley. And I've noticed that it's the same thing that happens with Karen. And I'm just like, ladies, what's that? Hayley also weirdly becomes a cheerleader through all of this. I don't really see cheerleader for her, but I think I remember seeing her, a clip of her being one back in the day, but I guess Hayley has definitely changed. She's definitely had a full arc and changed that arc and done another arc, and I'm happy that she got her life back on track. I'm happy that she got her man. I want her to stop pursuing music, but that's just me. I like that she doesn't let certain things in her life stop her from doing what she wants to do. I also love seeing the little hints and the crumbs at what she's gonna be in adult life. I love her speech about liking to see the light or the happiness entering people's face as she helps them get the answer to things. I thought that was so sweet. I don't know. Hayley is Miss Puritan, good girl. Hayley is supposed to represent the character who is so good and so on point and so perfect in quotations, but in reality, she needs to look at herself and see that being perfect is not reality. And sometimes you have to make mistakes to grow. And sometimes those mistakes are leaving your husband for New York and seeing that you can't be Kelly Clarkson. The thing that I appreciate about Nathan and Hayley the most is that they both allow each other to tap into parts of each other that normally they wouldn't. I think she makes him a better, more respectable, more responsible man, and he makes her someone who lives in the moment and doesn't take her future plans as stone, and encourages her to know that if you want to step off this path that others have made for you, that you've made for yourself, it's okay because you're human, just breathe. And I love that she gets to explore that so much so that she felt comfortable doing whatever she did in season 2, because she probably wouldn't have done that before if she didn't know Nathan. I love that she has a back tattoo. Yes, girl, live your life because you only get one. I enjoy watching Hayley discover freeness and confidence and self-worth. I don't know if she went about it the best way, but guess what? We ended up with her being married again to Nathan and her having a great, sweet fairy tale life. I mean, except for the ending of season 3, obviously. I like her. I think that she's also down to learn. I don't think she's ever too egotistical. Hayley is a more evolved version of Karen. Me personally, I wouldn't have allowed Peyton to talk to me the way that she was talking to Hayley in season 3. Like Nate was still her man or something, but she took it. She knew she was wrong and she stepped up and was a woman about it. You know, Hayley is Queenie. I think she's cute. I think Nathan and Hayley are probably one of my favorite drama couples. I think that they really are meant to be together, and I'm happy Chris Keller didn't ruin that for me. Oh, but Hayley, you pissed me off at the season 3 finale. Just yelling, not doing anything to save your husband, just yelling to the top of your lungs. You ain't even try to attempt to go down there and help. You ain't even try. Me, I'm jumping. I don't know, I'm jumping. Unfortunately, now I must discuss Lucas Scott.
So, what's your girlfriend's name? You got one, right?
Not anymore. I had 2.
Wow, you have her. What are they like?
Well, one's all about fun. The other I kind of had this huge emotional connection to. But I screwed both those up.
Lucas is the indie. I'm just trying to play it cool, but I'm gonna write a poem about you. Fuck boy. I cannot stand Lucas. I literally can't. I think in the first half of season 1, I was obsessed with him. I think that he was just trying to be a good boy. He was just trying to be a good boy. He was just trying to not have to deal with his trauma like everybody else. But then Lucas becomes the worst character of One Tree Hill for me.
Minus Dan, of course.
He's not as bad as Dan, but he just makes decisions where I have to remind myself he's playing a teenager, because everything he does makes me want to hop through the screen, and it's actually insane.
Good parts about One Tree Hill is that you can sort of see in some way, even if it's messed up, where every character is coming from. I see Lucas as someone who I definitely understand in the first half of season 1. He is this boy who has had to deal with being almost this black sheep who didn't even ask to be here, and the whole town sort of sees him as a black sheep, and he has to sort of lurk behind the scenes in his own life, and that obviously makes me feel so bad for him. Him getting the attention that he never had turned him into some weird F-boy that I just don't see it for. In a way, when I look at what he goes through in season 2 and season 3, it's almost giving, are him, Brooke, and Peyton supposed to be a reflection of Dan, Deb, and Karen? I don't know. The more I watched these 3 seasons, the more I thought Lucas is giving me more Dan than Nathan gives me Dan, and that is kind of insane to think about. I believe that Lucas acts off of emotions and vibes, and that is why I get so frustrated with him.
In season 1, we get to see him try to develop, now being in the forefront with him joining the Tree Hill Ravens. We get to see, is he good at basketball? No shade. Is he good? I don't know. I see Nathan hooping more than him. Nathan was an asshole to Lucas at the beginning. Lucas has to deal with the fact that his half-brother is torturing him, hazing him beyond relief. Plus, he has to deal with his hazardous daddy, non-daddy, popping up every now and then just to remind him that he's a bastard for absolutely no reason. You also have him like trying to make things happen for himself, but realizing that his mom doesn't have the financial status like that all the time. And he also gets in a car accident in the first season. Like, he's going through a lot, but it doesn't matter because he just becomes a fuckboy to me, and it's really sad. It's sad.
I think Lucas shows what boy Karen raised in season 1, especially how he handles his brother Nate, because there is so many reasons he could have crashed out on Nate. He could have literally beat Nate's ass, got him jumped. I don't know. He could have did a lot more towards Nate. Instead, his Uncle Kieth and his mom raised him with love and empathy, and that's really what I feel Lucas has at the end of the day. He has an empathy problem, but he's also a teenage boy, so the empathy mixed with the crash out that his mother passed down, mixed with Dan Scott's DNA of anger, it's all just a mix to make him this bohemian loser, and it really is just so annoying at times. But then every now and then he'll do a speech or he'll do something towards a person, and it shows you, oh wait, he is kind, he is that sweet boy we meet on episode 1 bouncing the basketball.
But it really all just boils down to how he's handling romance in this show. It's actually kind of disgusting, and I hear it doesn't get any better, and I low-key think I remember what people are talking about, so I shouldn't be surprised. I expect him to do that, and then out of nowhere he'll throw a move where I'm like, oh, you're even more of a terrible person. Oh. My main beef with Lucas, and we're going to talk about this with Peyton as well. My main beef with him is the way he treats Brooke Davis. I think Lucas is a narcissist. I think that he wants to not be the center of attention, but he wants someone to want him as bad as he wants the other person, and he only wants the other person when it seems like there's something that he can't have, i.e. his relationship with Peyton, his whole entire relationship with Peyton, and his relationship with Brooke as well.
Now, I do have to point out, yes, Brooke Davis is one of my favorite characters, but I have to call her out and I have to be realistic. Brooke is not a saint. She does weird things when it comes to Lucas. It's clear from the beginning that Brooke and Lucas will never work out because their entire first interactions are literally harassment. I mean, we can talk about how it's so problematic, the ways that they display aka Sophia Bush in this show. If we're looking at it for the writing, Brooke is definitely problematic when it comes to Lucas when they first get together. But as everybody in this show, all the characters tend to grow, and the way that Lucas decided to handle himself throughout this show is just insane, at least for the first 3 seasons, which is what we're talking about. In season 1, we see him attempt to try and get into a relationship with Peyton. It doesn't work out because all she really wants to do is hook up because she can't handle emotions. So he's like, no, this is not what I want. Like, I need something more. And so he goes to then be with Brooke, who's only about hooking up. I feel annoyed with Lucas throughout these 3 seasons because you could have just left Brooke alone. Multiple times you could have just left Brooke alone. Like I said, Brooke is not a freaking angel. She is no angel, but she's also someone who just minds her business, and they start messing with her. They start doing things to her, and it's like, damn. Can she catch a break? Let's just say this applies to Brooke after episode, 10, 11 of season 1, because she was pressing Lucas. She wanted Lucas. She was pressing him. She was literally harassing him. But after he sort of brushed her off in the whole incident with Peyton the first time, she backed up, and Lucas was the one chasing her. Lucas was the one doing the most. She was the one minding her business. A lot of the time, after her little spill in season 1 where she had her arc, she minds her business and everyone else is in her face. I think Lucas is the most authentic in the first half of season 1. When he starts to change is definitely when he starts to date Brooke. And I do think Brooke was a little bit too much when they first started dating. Like, I don't think she had to go and convince him to go and get a tattoo. I don't think she had to take him out to go and get drinks. Yes, he could have been more loosened up, but I think that was just way too much for him. And for him to try to act out a body with it was also strange. I think Lucas loved to do, he loves to puff that chest out, okay? He will puff that chest out at everybody, and nobody cares what he's barking about. If Lucas can mishandle Brooke the way that he has been mishandling her in the last 3 seasons, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't like him. I don't. And it's so insane that I always have to deal with him because he's the main character. And it's like, not only do I have to deal with you being a fuckboy, I also have to deal with you being sad. Like, he's a little sassy sometimes. Like, he got an attitude all the time. Oh my God. He's always so brooding. You're deeper than a freaking puddle, Lucas. There's so many ways to tell that Karen raised Lucas Scott, and one of those things is the judgment, the projection, the thinking he's smarter than everyone in the room. Lucas Scott is the embodiment of Dumb and Poetic by Sabrina Carpenter. He believes that he is the smartest one in the room, and he should be with the most interesting girl in the room when you're not that interesting, which is why I think I enjoy him and Brooke together so much, because she kind of calls him out on it a lot. He thinks that Brooke is dumb. He thinks Brooke is dumb, and he thinks that Peyton is this deep thing that he needs to solve, because if he solves it, that means that he is the one. When the things that he talks about are not that crazy, it's just projection all around. You could just tell how much he has no respect for Brooke in the first 3 seasons of the show, and it gets worse and worse. The only time I ever felt he had some respect for Brooke was season 3, and that quickly fumbled after the whole shooting. It just shows you that he is so self-absorbed, and it's fine. He's a teenage boy, but I hate that he has this higher complex about it because it's just all based in falseness. When the hazing stops for Lucas, he becomes, I don't know why it's feeling a lot of times in some of these season moments, Lucas is in the back. After, I'm gonna say mid-season 2, Lucas is really in the back, and it's just in a weird moment. In season 1, we really get to see the downfall of this whole love triangle he's in. After Peyton refuses or doesn't want to deal with him because, number 1, she was dating his brother. Oh, number 2, she doesn't want to be emotional, or she can't handle emotion. She just thinks it will be too much with Lucas. So Lucas goes and he starts dating Brooke. And I like Lucas and Brooke together, actually. I more so like their second chance
part of it all. I don't really like them together the first time because all they used to do was just have sex. They have no depth. All they do is hook up. Lucas was lashing out because that's all Peyton wanted. So he was like, fine, I'm going to go with this person who's going to give me exactly what you said you only want. And I'm going to see if I can be that person with her. And in it, you end up breaking so many people's hearts and you just don't care. You're a tyrant and you don't even care. That's why your mama had to check you. Even your mama had to check you. Like, this is not who I raised. I don't know. When it comes to Brooke and Lucas, I think they have little small moments that I really do like them together.
The truth is, I care about Peyton.
Then what is the difference?
The difference? The difference is I love you, Brooke. I want to be with you, not Peyton.
But why? I need to know why.
Because you kink your eyebrow when you're trying to be cute. Because you quote Moo even though I've never actually seen you read. And because you missed your parents, but you'll never ever admit that. And because I've given exactly 2 of these embarrassing speeches in my entire life, and they've both been with you. I mean, that's gotta mean something, right?
I just don't think he deserves Brooke Davis. I don't think he deserves Brooke Davis at all. Not an ounce, not a pinch, nothing. He don't deserve her at all. And it's very evident if you keep watching throughout the seasons, even how we end season 3, he doesn't deserve her and he never did. Brooke is a lot to handle. She is not perfect. She is definitely a mean girl the first half of the first season. But the person she transforms into, that's what I say. I love a character transformation. The person she transforms in, he doesn't deserve that person. He gets with that person and he cheats on her again with the same mother. Mind you, I don't even think Brooke has asked for much. I don't think she has asked for much from her best friend since kids and her boyfriend. All she has ever asked is for people to be honest with her. And Peyton couldn't be honest with herself with having feelings with Lucas, and Lucas couldn't be honest with himself that he was really only with Brooke to have that feeling of what Peyton said that she wanted. He was definitely okay with hooking up with Brooke. He was definitely okay with having so much sex with Brooke. But when it came to anything emotional, he knew he cared about Peyton way more than he cared about Brooke. And it's been that way since the beginning. And he saw her in that car. The way he rushes for Peyton when she's in an ounce of trouble. The way he cares about what she knows. I don't even think, if Brooke asked him what's my favorite color, I don't even think he would know. He clearly never gave up on Peyton. But my issue is y'all playing in Brooke Davis' face. Peyton, being the fatherless, motherless child that she is, finds out her dad is going through something at sea. And so she needs somebody to go with her to see if her dad is okay. Brooke stays behind. They go together in this hotel room and they kiss. They kiss and they nearly do something else. What's so crazy to me about the scene when they're in the hotel room? Lucas has to be the one. We're going to get on Peyton. If you can tell by the intro, we're going to get on Peyton's ass. But Lucas has to be the one to remind Peyton that Brooke is at home and that they are together. And he only remembers that from a necklace he had on, I'm pretty sure. Then, baby, he's already checked out. He's like, me and Peyton, we nearly kissed. Oh, baby, I'm done. He's stringing Brooke along. Mind you, Brooke is feeling like, wow, I'm called a slut every day at this school. I feel like nobody is really like understanding me. I have this new boyfriend and he talks to me and he wants me to read books. Brooke bends herself for Lucas. All he wants is to mold her into Peyton, instead of accepting who she is as a Brooke, because he never liked her. So Brooke thinks she has her best friend. She thinks she has Lucas as her boyfriend. And they're going behind her back and hooking up. I guess just when he was about to tell her, Lucas gets into his car accident. The car accident thing, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't feel bad for him. I didn't feel 1 ounce bad for Lucas when it came to that car accident, baby. They should have hit him again, because ain't no way you look at me in my face and you cheated with this girl best friend instead of just breaking up with her, and the best friend is down with it too. Yeah, that was when Lucas pretty much checked out for me, and then how he handles it from there as well is also just really nasty. Him getting out of a coma after Brooke stood by his bedside and breaking up with her.
What?
I'm just gonna need some time to figure some stuff out.
Whatever you need. I'm here for you.
See, that's the thing.
Are you breaking up with me? I was so afraid you weren't gonna wake up.
What? I miss out on being with you.
That man opened one eye out of a coma and said, I don't think I can do this anymore. Wow, I sat by your bedside. I kiki with your mom. I got you stuff from the gift shop and you gonna tell me you're done with me? You couldn't even try a little bit? He didn't even care that that girl was by his bedside. He said, yeah, I can't do this no more. Where Peyton at? And what Peyton do? Run to him and say, I didn't want to come to the hospital. The way Lucas handled that whole situation just made him like I just get the ick every time he pops up on my screen now. Now, is there things where past that I feel bad for Lucas? Absolutely. I feel bad that he lost his Uncle Keith. I feel bad that he has a heart condition. I feel bad that he's ass at basketball now. I ain't see him make a shot in years. I feel bad that biological dad is a terrible person. I feel bad that he got hazed by his brother. I feel bad about those things. I do. But he has done too many crimes. Lucas just handled that terribly. I was on Lucas's side on trying to find dirt on Dan. I like that aspect of it. I don't like what he did to his mom to do it though.
As a fatherless child, I can admit sometimes you take for granted the people who have been there for you when they could have taken the other route like the other parent. And so I don't like the way that Lucas sometimes disrespects Karen. I think him and Karen have both this moment where they're learning their life together and who they are as individuals. And I like that moment between them. I think the relationship between Karen and Lucas is very interesting. I adore it sometimes. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes Karen is out there hooting and hollering with some men and Lucas is running amok and he needs his mom. It's a very interesting dynamic. But yeah, he's a little disrespectful to his mom sometimes.
The way he just walked out on his mom and made her feel shitty. Karen's too good of a mom for that, and I think he knew that, but I guess he had to be Nancy Drew. Also, there's just such big side characters in this whole entire couple of seasons and in the whole One Tree Hill verse.
It's so crazy that I've gone on this long talking about Brooke and Peyton because he also hooks up with other people throughout all of this drama. He hooks up with Nikki, who is the baby mother of Jake, another side character, and he doesn't even know that's his friend's baby mother because he's just randomly at a bar hooking up with a girl because his other two girls broke up with him. He also gets together and has a weird relationship with Anna, who is the sister of the boy that Brooke starts to date in season 2, and he's really only dating her to get into Brooke's good graces, and then when he finds out she's a lesbian, it's sort of like, oh, okay, I got it. Lucas is just messy. He's not only messy with the main characters, he's messy with the side characters too. Speaking of side characters, I know there's others that I could be talking about, but I don't think I need to go that crazy in depth on them, at least for this video, because we are talking about season 1 through 3. We really get introduced to their plots later on. I know that Mouth becomes a part of the cast officially. I know that Skills becomes a big part of the cast eventually, but for season 1 and 3 they sort of get their little storylines and plots on the side a little deeper into the season.
We have friends like Mouth and Skills who are friends of Lucas and they get their own storyline. I'm not really gonna dive into them that much. Mouth is just the epitome of the good guy trope. I'm such a good guy, why don't women want me? Very incel vibes until he gets a girl and he starts acting different. That is what Mouth is to me right now, so I really don't have much to say about him. I do like Brooke and Mouth as friends, but that's pretty much it.
I did gain some respect for Mouth, the way that he handled Erica. I think that he definitely stood 10 toes down with the way that she was acting and held her accountable. The whole Erica and Mouth saga, I truly don't care about. I hate Erica as a character, but I'm pretty sure we will get into that more when we talk about season 4. I hate that she's a thing in season 3, to be honest. But yeah, Erica, another side character, which is slowly becoming a main as I watch season 4, is just a whole thing that I don't care to talk about that much. But her and Mouth's arc, it was okay for what it was at the beginning, but eventually I just kind of grew tired of it, just like everything else with Mouth. He also just turns out to be exactly like every other man. The way he lashes out at Brooke and the things that he does to Brooke because he is mad that she doesn't want him. It's just very, very interesting. Also, Mouth is the reason, along with Erica, why the school shooting happened, and I'm not going to take that away from them. I don't care. Just because he's a nerd does not make him a good guy. And then Skills is a bald-headed 30-year-old in high school. I don't know what y'all want me to say that. But I'm saying these are Lucas's friends. I like his dynamic with his friends. I think that I like that aspect of him. I think he's always trying to be there for his friends. He's also a really good brother. I like how he embraced being Nathan's brother after they called each other brother in season 1. So there's things I can acknowledge I like about Lucas, even though he's a fuckboy. He's a fuckboy. We can't ignore that. And that's okay. That's okay. I just don't like him pretending that he's not. Towards season 2, he's just floating. He was the one who saved Dan out of the fire. For what reason, I don't know. Tries to set Dan up. It don't work. Eventually, he and Brooke Davis get back together because he's into her again. And I don't know why. I really just think he saw her about to be happy and was mad she was happy. I truly think he just likes to torment Brooke. Also, Peyton was preoccupied because she was dating Jake, who was another boy that she liked and was also Lucas's friend. They keep it in the friend group in this show.
Brooke had Boys in Motion, another side character coming in. There's a lot of side characters in the show. And she was ready to actually be in a committed relationship. And here you go saying you got feelings for her. Why? Why do you have feelings for her? And then we find out he kisses Peyton during the school shooter situation. Well, Peyton kisses him in his words. And it was only right because Peyton was on her deathbed. And he says it's only right because she was on her deathbed. Because Brooke was hesitant to get back with Lucas after he already betrayed her, she was very much giving they're going to be friends with benefits. And he could not take friends with benefits. He was on some, Brooke Davis, you're gonna still be mine. You did all of that hoopla saying you're gonna be mine. Clear boundaries set. Brooke told him, you are a friend with benefits. He thought she was joking somehow because he thinks he's the prize, even though you literally cheated with my best friend, but okay. And she sleeps with Chris Keller.
Chris Keller, if you have no haters, I am dead because I enjoyed season 3, Brooke and Lucas. They were so cute. I think that's why the Peyton thing pisses me off the most, because season 3 we get to see what a Brooke and Lucas relationship looks like. Brooke was a little bit out of her head at some moments with their relationship. The thing she did with Keith's death and throwing him a party, that was so weird. But I love the little letter thing they had, the banter they had. It was giving chemistry. And then Chris Keller comes along and Peyton comes along. It really pissed me off.
He says he's okay with her sleeping with Chris Keller. They weren't even together. And then when she finds out he's not only kissed Peyton, but Peyton is still in love with Lucas, Lucas's response is to use the Chris Keller situation.
Is it impossible for you to forgive me? I forgave you.
For what?
For sleeping with Chris Keller.
Boy, if you don't get out my face. Lucas is so unserious, and honestly, him and Peyton deserve each other. I think they are both just brooding assholes. I'm not surprised at all that they end up kind of getting back together, or I don't know, they're not together. I really don't care what's happening with them at all. But the only time Lucas was justified when it came to Brooke for me is when she threw a party after Keith's death. That was weird. That was weird. That was the one valid, little attitude thing he had for me. I feel so bad that Keith died because I feel like Keith was the only one who actually saw him, and it seemed Lucas was already lost, and I feel he's gonna be more lost. Since I already talked about her a little bit, let's get into Brooke Davis.
Hey, you.
Oh, I think you got the wrong car.
Nah.
Don't mind me, I just have to get out of this uniform. So, anyway, I'm Brooke.
Queenie. I love Brooke Davis. I love Brooke Davis's arc. I do. When you first meet Brooke Davis, you hate her immediately. It's really hard to because she's so charismatic. Sophia Bush, you will always be famous. It's hard to hate Brooke because the actress is doing such a good job playing her. Obviously, her first bad strike is her doing what she did at the little founders dinner or whatever it was. Her trying to expose people because her feelings were hurt when it came to Lucas and Peyton.
It's one of those things where we have to wonder, where are the adults? Oh, I know, they're the ones supplying her, because why is it that Brooke gets away with everything because her fake ID or because she knows how to push up her bra right? It's always a man too. The way she was able to get pills from the doctor after she had a little accident, the way she's able to just casually get drinks because she looks a certain way, it's very, very disturbing.
Brooke Davis is the lonely girl that nobody really sees, but they think they see. And I love that about her. Brooke is actually what Peyton believes she is. We see you being a brooding little black cat. You are not being subtle at all. In these 3 seasons, I've only had 3 big problems with Brooke. It's obviously the dinner.
The whole thing with Hayley and Nate was just her really trying to project her own insecurities on Hayley coming into a world that she normally doesn't belong in. She was doing that out of spite because she saw from the beginning that Lucas did not want her. Lucas wanted Peyton. Brooke obviously was so used to everybody wanting her. It didn't matter what she did. Everybody would want her. And when Lucas did not give that to her, she kind of wanted him more and was confused on why he wanted Peyton, which I could see her confusion because they had moments where Peyton absolutely disrespected Lucas beyond relief to where it's like, girl, there's no way you actually would ever like this man. It seemed Brooke was doing more effort than she's ever done to get a man, and that pissed her off that Lucas still did not want her. But for you to go and sort of bash Hayley and expose her in this weird way, it's just mean girl shit. It's mean girl shit. It's terrible. I did not like it. I did not feel sorry for her being embarrassed, but obviously something was going on at home. Something was going on in her head, and that was clear, but she was definitely in the wrong. But she makes up for it with getting the date with Hayley and Nathan, which I really, really enjoyed.
Obviously, the whole baby mother situation with Jake, teaming up with Jake's baby mother and like coming to be nasty to Peyton. Did she have every right to be nasty to Peyton for messing with her boyfriend and being her childhood best friend? Absolutely. But did she have to do it like that? No, she did not.
Despite me thinking Brooke is wrong, did I rejoice when Nikki slapped the shit out of Peyton? Absolutely, because Peyton deserved that slap. But, like I said, Brooke, that was your childhood best friend. Yes, she did you wrong. Yes, she did you dirty. But we never switched up on the gang, even though they switched up on us. And Nikki is just trouble. She's terrible. She's a terrible person, terrible mother, all of that. And we see that Brooke comes to her senses when her and Peyton team up against Nikki. So, was Brooke justified in being upset at Peyton? Absolutely. And I hate that Lucas and Peyton made it seem as if Brooke was doing way too much when it came to handling that situation. Y'all are the ones who betrayed her. She gets to react any way that she wants to. But can we say her reaction is wrong? Absolutely. So she was just lashing out in that moment. It was wrong. Am I feeling bad for Peyton? Absolutely not. Because, I mean, come on. You get what you get.
And of course, throwing the party for Kieth, like, that was a little bit weird, girly. I can't lie. Like, throwing a party for Kieth so people can be happy and your boyfriend's uncle just died. If you don't go comfort that man, like, girl, that was just a little bit too much for me.
Which is why I love Brooke Davis, but we have to call a thing a thing. At many times, she is so unserious and she needs to be humbled and brought back down to reality, which she goes through definitely throughout the seasons. And I feel like it definitely hit in season 3. I think season 3, she is at her peak. Sometimes she's just really not there, and it's really disappointing.
And obviously her regular mean girl shenanigans. She was way too mean to the girls on the
cheer team, sometimes her insults are way too much. And I get that about Brooke Davis, but I also love how she doesn't pretend. I love how she only really wants honesty from everybody, and everybody seems to not be able to be honest. And it's really sad to see. I also hate her parents. Her parents are terrible. I mean, if you know about the adult years, we already know that tea, but yeah, like her parents are terrible to be leaving her so much. She's a lonely girl, and that's why she makes up for it for being the slut. I like that Brooke doesn't mind the title and she wears it knowing she's really just not. She's just comfortable with herself. She's comfortable with what she does with her body, and I really enjoy that. I just feel bad for Brooke. I feel bad for Brooke. I do. She's a mean girl. She's nasty sometimes, but I'm sorry, nothing justifies for how Lucas and Peyton did her dirty twice. Not once, but twice. Once, okay, fine. Twice. In this moment, the slap, Peyton over here victimizing herself. Brooke did exactly what she was supposed to do. Brooke Davis is so forgiving. Y'all can say a lot of things about Brooke Davis, but you gotta admit she is so forgiving. Me personally, I would never talk to Peyton again. I would never talk to Lucas again, but there she is in the next season, still talking to them, still forgiving them. I also have to bring up how good of a friend Brooke is. Is she very mean to certain people? Yes, but when you're a friend, she treats you like a friend. Brooke, I don't even think you really should be going through any of this. It's just the friends you choose. Mouth throwing a brick in her windshield because she don't want to give him none. Peyton, y'all put boys on the wall to tell, okay, these are my boys, these are your boys. And she's still messing with your man. She's still with your man after saying she would never do it again. And look at all the things she does. Throwing the parties for Nathan and Hayley. Doing the little bachelor stuff for Hayley. Like, just cute things she does for her friends. And what does she get in return? Being called a slut, and that she's reacting too much after people betray her. Right. I hated the Boys in Motion storyline.
And by Boys in Motion, I mean Felix, who is played by the actor who was one of the Boys in Motion from That's So Raven. He was so annoying. He was so annoying beyond relief. And I know that was supposed to be his character. He was supposed to be the equivalent to Brooke, that he could handle the feistiness of Brooke. But in reality, he was just an annoying F-boy. And he was rich, which happened to help at the time with Brooke being broke, or her parents going broke, and her having to provide for her own stuff. It was so weird. I don't think him or Brooke had any chemistry. Anytime anything came up romantic with him and Brooke, it just seemed like little brother, big sister energy. I hated it. I did not think he was giving any type of vibes with her. Also, he was homophobic. He was homophobic to his sister, so he's a chop. I think one of the cringiest episodes is when he has them do truth or dare, and they have to go around and do all of these stupid dares that he set up, and it's all a ploy to have a date with Brooke, and he just ends up showing that he's a weirdo through it all. That's also where Lucas weirdly finds his sister and they kiss, and it's all weird, and she's a lesbian but she's hiding it. I hate that storyline. I hate the extra characters in season 2. They are a chop. None of them really compare to Erica, but they still are annoying. The Lucas versus Felix of it all really was the only time when I thought Lucas truly wanted Brooke, but obviously we see how that turned out when he actually did get Brooke back. It was the first time I thought, you know what, maybe he did feel things for Brooke, because the way he was yearning for her while she was off being a hot girl, I really enjoyed that part. I hated the back and forth between him and Felix. Again, Felix was just cringe. He was cringe in every circumstance. It didn't matter how genuine he tried to be. It was the fact that he really was trying to give grown men taking care of Brooke, and I just did not see it. Also, he's homophobic. At the time, Brooke's family is going broke. She's used to being the rich, spoiled, daddy's girl, and it turns out her parents are going broke, so she has to downsize and has to scale things back and get regular jobs, which I love that storyline, actually. To see Brooke Davis get a job as a lobster, to see her get a job in a retail store and discover her love for fashion, it was so good. Obviously, Brooke is supposed to be some comedy relief, but I really think it was
so cool to see her character do certain things. Her unionizing and getting better pay for the people who were the lobsters or the mascots for the businesses. Hello. Clothes Over Bros is created in season 3, I think. And it's really fun seeing her become a fashion designer. I don't know if this changes in the last high school years because things are getting more serious. It's definitely not changing as I'm watching season 4, but I am over Brooke's party scene. I think it's so weird and so problematic. Obviously, this is something that they talk about in the Drama Queens podcast. We all know about the nasty creator of the show, but it's so uncomfortable sometimes, especially what's going on with her in season 4, which I'll talk about in the next video. But yeah, it's just some weird things going on with her party phase and the hookup culture that she's a part of, because most of the time it's not even boys her age, it's college boys, it's older men. It's very, very odd and very weird for her character. But because Brooke is such a fun character and Sophia Bush plays her so cool, it seems like it's supposed to be normal, but it's absolutely not normal. And I'm sort of over it at this point, especially when we end season 3, which is why I enjoy her and Lucas being back together, because things started getting a little bit more serious for her. She seems more grounded, and obviously that goes away when we go to the next season. Very interesting storylines. A lot of her story is wrapped up in relationships and boys, so getting the whole fashion part of it all, or the cheer captain of it all, I actually enjoyed way more than the relationship tea. The thing I enjoy about Brooke Davis the most is her friendship, the way that she treats her friends, loves on her friends, grows from what she experiences with her friends, no matter if it's good or bad. I enjoy that aspect of her character the most. I also have to give hats off to Sophia Bush for giving us some of the best television for the season 3 finale. It was just so amazing. The way that she displayed that emotion, her highs to her lows. I love the season 3 finale for the drama. I don't know about the antics, but the drama, it was so good. I was locked into that TV. You felt like her friend and her boyfriend were betraying her. Lucas is going to hell, and I'm sure Peyton will be right beside him in that fucking car. Peyton Sawyer.
How you doing?
Let's see. I broke up with my boyfriend. My mom's dead. And my dad's away on a job.
Where do I start? I get what Peyton's supposed to be. You know, her mom died at a very young age. Her dad is constantly working. He's an at-sea person. I don't know what they call that, but he's at sea. He's never home. Her and Brooke are the lonely twins. I get it. I understand that. I understand the hardship she's been through. But when we meet Peyton, she's dating Nathan. Nathan is terrible to her. Nathan is nearly abusive to her. Like, it's kind of insane. If Brooke's shield is being the slut of the show, Peyton's shield is being the cool, chill girl of the show. She projects all of the problems of her life on all of the other personal relationships she has with everyone. It doesn't matter how much they've done for her. It doesn't matter how much they've been there for her. The one time that she has a bad day, she's gonna project her dead mom on you, her dad being gone on you, her boy problems on you. It's gonna be projected on you at every cost. Peyton's only a cheerleader to be something, I think, because Brooke is something. If Lucas Scott is the bohemian loser, Peyton Sawyer is the bohemian snob. She has such a superiority complex. It is kind of nauseating with her actions sometimes, especially in season 1, a little bit of season 2. I really do not know if her and Brooke are friends or not. I don't know if they're best friends or not. Sure, they probably have links because of childhood, but I don't know if it's only them being friends because they are familiar. And yes, you come to my house, I come to your house, you know my parents, I know your parents. That's simply it, because the things that Peyton does in response to her best friend just being her is sort of fucked up. My most clear example of this is the comic strip that she made of Brooke. Even if that's your best friend and then you feel she was being a little snarky, nasty cheerleader, which why are you a cheerleader if you hate it so bad? If that's how you feel about your best friend, you should just stay at confronting her. For you to put it in the paper and for her to know it's about her and you basically not admitting it's your art, it's very, very odd and very weird. She tries to stay on this high horse throughout the show show, and the more she tries to stay on this high horse, the more ridiculous she looks.
She tries to make it seem as Brooke says the most horrendous things in the world, and she says just as much as bad things as Brooke does. The things she says about Lucas in season 1 to kind of throw people off of the trail that she likes him, literally insinuating that he's gay so Brooke doesn't go after him. The things she said to Hayley's face, like she wasn't in there sniffing coke out of vial. Every time Peyton Sawyer is mad, I trust an insult that should never be coming from anyone's mouth is coming out of her mouth. She is so insufferable when it comes to taking accountability. That is my biggest gripe with Peyton Sawyer. The word accountability and Peyton don't go in the same category, but I have to remember it's a teenager at the end of the day.
When Hayley comes back from her little tour stunt with Chris Keller, Peyton is on her ass. She's going through things with her own parents. She finds out her mom who died is not her actual biological mom. She was adopted by her dad and the mom who passed away. And her real mom is someone who's much more like her, and she has cancer.
Despite me thinking that Peyton is the Antichrist, she is someone who has the worst life ever. So do I understand her anger? Absolutely. Her mom passing away, her dad barely being there. Did she find out her mom isn't actually her mom? Her actual mom is a recovered drug addict who's now a cancer patient and coming back into her life out of nowhere when she thinks that she's alone and this is how life is going to be. So yeah, I understand the antics that she does and why it's happening, but doesn't mean I have to like them.
You would think her and Nathan had the best relationship ever, but instead you're just mad because she left her family. I don't understand Peyton's family arc. I'm not gonna lie. I don't understand her family lineage. I am confused every time it comes up. I feel like they just need an excuse to bring somebody in every season because her daddy ain't there.
Speaking of her daddy, I would say he's number 2 worst parent. The way he's never there for Peyton, and Peyton is literally on her own the majority of these seasons. We see him a brief moment, like he's there a brief couple of times, and when he's there, he finds time to date Karen randomly, which is absolutely weird from him and Karen because they know what's happened between Peyton and Lucas and they still decide to date. I truly hate parents that do that to their kids. It's not incest, but it's still weird. Like, why would you set your kids up like that? It leads to nothing because Karen was always in love with Kieth. But I do also want to say the recasting of Peyton's dad is criminal. Peyton's dad is just... where are you? Where are you? Like, oh my gosh, your daughter is literally acting like a grown woman. That's why she's so angry at the world and ready to stab people with her markers.
I don't really know what to say about Peyton. I just think Peyton is a ball of mess in season 1 through 3. I think that Peyton is someone who clearly wants to be loved, clearly wants to feel like she is wanted, but when people make it clear that she is loved, she rejects it and she pushes it away. And it's like, girl, what do you want? What do you want? She confuses me. I don't like the way she acts. I think she's a terrible friend. I think that Peyton Sawyer is a terrible friend.
The actions that sum up who Peyton Sawyer is as a character is her being at those red lights and waiting for them to turn red so she can go through. She wants that danger. She wants all the things that she feels she can't have because she wants to feel as if she can cheat life because life has been so shitty to her. When she really needs to realize life is absolutely what you make it.
My mom ran one red light. I run them all the time and nothing happens. It's not fair.
No, it's not.
It doesn't help you sitting here dwelling on all the shitty things that happen in your life. Your life is just going to remain shitty. That's why so much of her love shown in this show has been things that she cannot have at the moment. She didn't want Lucas because she thought he was kind of lame. And then when Brooke hopped on that, something that she can't have, she finally saw him in the light. Same thing with Jake. He was unavailable because he was focused on his daughter. Then she's like, oh, I can't have this. Oh, let me be the stepmama. And I want to get married too, even though I'm in love with somebody else. She quickly wants to latch onto all the things that she feels is other because she felt like she was other her whole life because she had no mom.
In season 3, after her first debacle with cheating with Lucas, obviously some traumatic things have happened to Peyton. I have to acknowledge that. Traumatic things things have happened to Peyton. RIP to her mom. Her biological mom comes in her life and also dies. Like, she has a very tragic background in life, and you can see why she has this darkness to her. And I think she's really talented art-wise. I think she's a really talented artist. I think about it, I could say a lot of things about Peyton Sawyer, but she got good music taste. She has good music taste. To see her work with the nightclub that Karen and Deb allow her to be a part of, and her to bring all these different acts in and to be doing that as a teenager, chef's kiss. Like, she is a great artist. She recognizes great art. I can give her that one little bone. But as a person, I can't give her anything. I also felt bad during the school shooter thing. Peyton does get shot. Obviously, that's the infamous kiss that pissed everything off with Brooke and Lucas again. And she was in the middle of dying. And instead of saying, I don't know, like, tell Brooke I love her or tell my dad this, she's admitting her feelings for Lucas.
Here's the thing. Do I think Lucas and Peyton have something there with one another? Yes. I think that he sees a part of herself that she can't tap into, the part of herself that can be happy, that can appreciate who she is as a person. Peyton believes that everything that has ever happened to her is her fault, and Lucas constantly reminds her and is always there for her to remind her that it is not her fault. And then Lucas is so confused about who he is as a person that he finds it so attractive that Peyton knows exactly who she is. She knows what she likes and what she doesn't like, and she stands on that 10 toes down, even if it's at fault of other people. And I think they balance each other out in that way. She helps him solidify who he is as a person, and he helps her deal with the parts of herself that she thinks are ugly.
The biggest clue on how Peyton views herself, or how she's just not healed, is that webcam. The webcam of it all, the leaving the webcam on when she's getting dressed. Like, she just wants attention. Nobody else in her life who's supposed to be giving her attention, like parents, like, you know, figures in her life, they're not giving her attention. So she just wants attention from the world, and she lashes out when she doesn't get the attention she thinks that she deserves. Well, she does deserve to be loved, to be cared about, but she has people who does that, and she still betrays them, and she still does things off of emotion instead of thinking. I will say, out of her and Lucas, I think Peyton is the more rational one in their nastiness.
I think she knows whenever she does something with Lucas that it's going to affect Brooke, and that's why she's always whimpering and crying about it, at least after the hotel situation, because in the hotel situation, she was not thinking about Brooke. But afterwards, after she saw how mad it made Brooke, there was no other option but for her to consider her best friend and what this means. I think she just knows Lucas is just a boy, but she wants the boy.
The whole Jake situation, Jake is another side character. He's on the basketball team when we meet him. We find out he's dipping out of activities and stuff like that because he has a daughter. He's a teen dad, and he has this very crazy baby mother, and he is just all over the place. But Peyton falls for him, and eventually she thinks that she can have a family with him at 17. So not only do we have teen marriage, but we also have someone trying to be a stepmother at 17. And Jake immediately clocked her tea and knew that she was still in love with Lucas. And what did Peyton do? Run to Lucas. But she did it in a way that she thought was right this time, by telling Brooke Davis, after a whole entire night of Brooke catering to her friend's love, that she still had feelings for Lucas. And she expected Brooke to take that with grace, because in her words,
I want to make the same mistake I did last time. And you know what? You even said last night at Trick that you really didn't miss him.
Obviously, there's moments where I feel really, really bad for her. But I think she's funny. I think actually Peyton is comedy, because the way she acts is insane. One of my favorite little crash out moments of her is when they go to the beach for a party Brooke is throwing, and she turns on like emo music. Also, she's judgy as well. She's judgy as well when it comes to music taste and all stuff. Just a bunch of judgy ass people in this town. Yeah, Peyton was done with me after the whole Brooke situation. Like, I have nothing to give her. I have no commentary except that I hate her and I hate Lucas. I hate the way Peyton acts. She doesn't care
about anyone else's feelings. I am a fair person though. Brooke is not innocent when it comes to her relationship with Peyton. She knew that Lucas liked Peyton and she still went after her. That's kind of weird. Also, Brooke puts Peyton in very nasty situations and risky situations that gets her hurt constantly. Her putting her on a website with people she doesn't know, strangers, even though she asked her not to, taking pictures of her body to put it on the internet for strangers because she thinks she should date. Let's not even talk about the situation she got her in that college party where she almost got assaulted, and if it wasn't for Lucas, she would have. Yes, Brooke is at fault a lot in their relationship as well, but I do think the main storyline, the main plot is what happens between them as a love triangle, and in that situation, I think Peyton is wrong. But Brooke is not innocent. She is not a saint when it comes to her things that she has done to Peyton. It's very harassment-like. It's very weird. It's very crossing boundary-like. And the fact that she thought her coming to Brooke about her feelings to Lucas, about Lucas and being on some, I can hide it. What if I get married to this man? You're gonna hide it? Like, you're gonna hide being around him? Baby, I'm gonna catch you in bed with my husband. Don't even try it. Peyton is just very unserious. Last but not least is my favorite character of One Tree Hill, at least for season 1 through 3, Nathan Scott.
At least you took a shot. Unlike you. What did you say to me? You heard what I said? I said at least he took a shot. It's more than you did, right, Dad? I wouldn't go there if I were you, Nathan. Why not? You're talking about letting down our teammates. Lucas was there all game. He played in pain with an injury you knew about. But he wasn't a coward like you were.
Tim, go get security. Tell my son's been beaten to death.
We played hard, and we lost. We have nothing to be ashamed of.
The reason Nathan is my favorite character on this show is because of his story arc. Season 1 of One Tree Hill, when it comes to Nathan, needs to be written down and studied. It's very rare to see a male character, a teen one at least, be well thought out and given a beginning to an end, to a restart, to a beginning to an end. Like, the arcs that he has are not only full and meaty, but they also make sense. It would be very easy for Nate to just be some asshole jock who's trying to emulate his father, but instead we start that way with him in season 1, and in the end he is telling Lucas that that is his brother because he has seen so many ways how humanity can change somebody and how his father doesn't have that very much, and how he would rather be someone with a little bit more humanity than just a robot like his dad. Nathan continuously learns lessons, and it makes him a better man every single time. They're not all over the place, which I feel Lucas's plot lines are. Nate's arc from going to a terrible person, bully, emulating his terrible dad, by ending season 1 with calling Lucas his brother. Shakespeare type writing to me, being in a toxic household, being the emulation of his toxic dad, to getting emancipated and going on his own and not having an ego of having to work and deal with his new surroundings, getting the girl that he wanted, and even though he was weird with her at first and very hostile, carrying out her feelings and trying to become a better man for her to the point where they get married, ending it, realizing that his dad wanted him to be something that he should have never had to be, and calling Lucas his brother when he used to say, don't call him that. It's just amazing writing. It's amazing writing. Season 2, Nathan, he is being tested beyond relief. He's done all of this work to become a better person, to stand on his own, and the world is doing everything to test this man's patience, from his wife discovering her love of music and him encouraging it because he respects her and he loves her and he sees her as a whole person and not just some girl that he's with, for her to take that same encouragement and apply it to her leaving him with a man who sounds like a Muppet. I'm surprised he didn't crash out more than he actually did. And that is why in season 2, we get the spiral of Nathan Scott. And yes, you want to hold him accountable because he was doing way too much. The stuff with the sister, oh my God, don't get me started with that. That was so weird. What are you doing, Nathan? The whole crash out on the track, his anger towards Lucas in season 2 is so miscalculated and so projected. It is terrible. Crashing out about Hayley, getting
in car accidents, getting back with Hayley, him and Hayley getting remarried just to have more shenanigans at the end of the season, of the 3rd season, and him nearly dying. We don't know if he's dead. We don't know if he's alive. We know he's alive, but I hate season 2 for him. I think he looked so... I'm not going to say pathetic. Okay, I don't want to say that. He was down bad for Hayley. And it was sweet to see because usually it's the other way around.
Nathan has so much going on. Not only the Hayley stuff, but his school stuff as well. He's still trying to be on the basketball team, be a basketball team captain, leader, and that's falling apart. He's losing scholarships. He's barely able to pay bills. He's trying to keep what little thing he has while still trying to make his relationship function. It's so much going on for him. His relationship with basketball is something that I think is interesting to explore as well. From him having to take steroids to keep up with Dan's demands, to him realizing that basketball might not just be for him because it's something that his dad wanted, and then falling back in love with it in a way. It's just really sweet. I love seeing his relationship with basketball, and we just have to call it thing a thing. Nate is better at basketball than Lucas.
I think Nathan is a good person. I do. I think that he wants to see his wife happy. He wants to see his brother happy. Bit of a crash out. He's a bit of a crash out, but who is it on this show? He is a bit of a crash out. When he gets mad, baby, when Nathan gets mad, everybody better stay out his way because he's gonna crash out. How much was rent back then? How much was the light bill back then that he can work at Wiener Schnitzel and still make money for? Like, I need to know because it's not fair. It's not fair. I think it's beautiful to watch love change Nathan. That's literally all he needed. He just needed love to be poured into him, which Hayley did.
I can't help but think some of the karma from how he treated Peyton earlier in the seasons is why Chris Keller happens. We cannot forget Nathan's crimes. He was treating Peyton like the dirt underneath his shoes, honey. Also, can we acknowledge Nathan is just a flirt? Because what was that whole thing after the charity with Peyton and him talking about sex and their relationship? It was just giving flirty. You see how Peyton acted in that scene, all up on her friend's man. She don't care.
Also, the way he handles Chris Keller, didn't like that either. I didn't like that either. Him paying Chris Keller to work with Hayley because no. Honestly, I think we should have shot him up. And it shows when he does the whole gambling thing. Him and Chris Keller get into this whole weird mob thing because he paid Chris money and Chris gambled the money away. Soap opera. It's giving soap opera. He's just a really, really sweet boy. And he's not hard to look at. He's not. Well, those are all my thoughts on One Tree Hill, season 1 through 3. We will be back eventually with us talking about 4 through 6. And trust, I'm already a couple episodes into season 4 and I'm pissed off. I am pissed off. These people stress me out. They stress me out. Stay cute. Stay quirky. I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. All I have to do is hear me and my peace of mind. I definitely forgot to mention that Pete Wentz is in this season and he has an arc where he dates Peyton. I don't know.